Location change. You guys have unlocked a new room in my house, which is great because it was getting kind of old. And you've unlocked a new time of day because my husband's home early from work and he's about to go out of town for a few days. So he told me, go do your thing. I do not have anything hanging up yet. And I honestly don't have any crazy plans to. I have some like storage stuff for like extra needles, notions, swatches and stuff like that. But that requires power tools to hang it up. And I am handy, but I don't feel like going in the garage that we still have not unpacked, and trying to locate the tools, avoid spiders, and then also come upstairs and measure where everything's supposed to go and not screw it up. I do need to get like a new chair situation because right now I'm in my desk chair and I think I need like a throne. Freudian slip. I need a new like comfy chair. So we'll see about that. But I do kind of want to start filming around this time of day anyways. The lighting's just better. My mood is just better. Today's episode is my most, aspirational? No, I need to look that up. Text Justin. Can you turn the TV down just a little bit? Define aspirational. Okay, let me put it like this. Today's video is every follow, all of my current follows that make me, okay, should follow Merriam-Webster's dictionary. Every follow that I currently follow, no, that's not good either. Everyone I follow that, maybe I have to Google how to put it in a sentence. Okay, these are all of the accounts that I follow that leave me feeling inspired, uplifted, motivated, peaceful, confident. It's not a envy follow. It's not I follow them because I want what they have. It's more I follow them because they're inspiring me to do more with myself as a mother, more with myself as an artist, or more with myself as a person in general. I feel like 2025 was a year where I unfollowed a ton of people, especially influencers, more or less because their content became highly monetized and shoppable, which there's nothing wrong with that either. I think there's a lot of great accounts for that. However, the reasons I initially followed them were not because they found great deals or things like that. I'm not talking about that at all. However, as someone who's doing my best to underconsume as much as possible, I feel like unfollowing people who pushed more content like that than content that I actually resonated with. I don't remember what the beginning of my sentence was, but leaving those people I followed behind did a lot for my mental health, but then it also did a lot for my bank account. So I'm gonna go through all of my platforms and tell you who I love following and why. Okay? On Instagram and TikTok, I follow Anakah, and I think that she is so cute. She has a great attitude. I love her thrifting content, and that might go against what I was just talking about. However, I feel like there are better ways to consume. Like if you love to shop, I do think that secondhand obviously is going to be the most ethical way to go about it. I feel like she's inspired me, one, to go to the thrift more often, but then also two, she has made me feel more inspired to kind of play with my own personal style, which has been lacking in years past. Trust me, no one wants me to stop beating this dead horse more than me. Sorry. Just because I think with fluctuating weights and then also just I think coming more into myself as both a individual and a mom, like I obviously want to dress appropriately and then also however best represents who I am. Anyways, I love following Anakah. She also does hair and she has the best hair I've ever seen, so you should go follow her. Next is actually my all-time favorite follow. I have followed her since her bachelor days, Becca Martinez. I even pay for her Patreon podcast. That's how much I enjoy the content that she puts out. And I say that because I think everyone has a podcast. I do not think everyone puts out very original ideas or thoughts. And while there's no issue, I think like you definitely find your niche and I think you find your audience. I think for me, it's been really hard to find people who I'm not like watching their content, listening to the exact same think piece dissected time and time again. And what I love, even when she does touch on very popular media or very popular news items, I think that she has a very refreshing take. Herself and her two co-hosts, and then occasionally her partner, all have varying opinions, and I think that it's really cool to watch that dynamic play out. And I also feel like after listening to some of her podcasts and a lot of, you know, her playing devil's advocate, then she has her partner who is very, in my opinion, very well read and educated as well. I think that I leave the podcast episode inspired to either research a certain topic more or to have more conversations like this with people in my life. I've even left with a completely different opinion afterwards based on their individual takes. They're also just so freaking funny. I've never laughed harder in my life, and episodes are really nice and long, and I can do chores, drive, whatever, and you can either watch it or listen to it, and I highly recommend. It's $5, which some people won't want to pay, but it's almost cheaper than a gallon of gas. But aside from her podcast, I also really enjoy her style, her decor. I think that how they have made their, I think it's 1,000 square foot home in Southern California work for their family of 5. I think that that's something that a lot of people are not strong enough to do and are too much of a collector or a hoarder to do. And sometimes I find that really inspiring as someone who's like always trying to downsize. And I often get overwhelmed by the amount of space that we have and can take up. Anyways, I just feel like she has a really cool way of expressing herself through her home, her style, her kids. Her kids are adorable too. And then also I appreciate how honest she is about her relationship with the dynamic that they have. I think that a lot of people are really afraid to put out what their relationship status is or like how they may struggle in their partnership. Yeah, I think that she has always been a really positive follow for me. Even back in her really controversial days, I think that she's still just one of those people where I've enjoyed following her. Next is Amber. I think it's Souzor. I hope I'm getting that right. Anyways, I initially started following her on Instagram and then found her on TikTok, and I think that she is super cool. I think that the way that she films her videos, her entire account, I feel like really revolves around motherhood and not sugarcoating it, kind of showing her realistic day-to-day with herself and her son. And recently she just became a single mom, and I think that again, it's really refreshing to actually have a vulnerable view of what someone's going through, because I think that all of us, especially through social media nowadays, are looking for people who are living like we are, look like we are, experiencing things that we are. And the only way to really do that is to have people who are not afraid to put themselves online in that way. And I recently found out through her Q&A that she went to film school, I believe. And it's very evident in the way that she films her videos, because I don't know what it is. There's nothing super flashy or eye-catching about them, in the sense that, like, you know how people have the traditional clickbait hook in their videos. I think that her videos have they've lowered my cortisol. They're almost hypnotic. Like, I feel like I could sit and watch a lot of them back to back to back and not get sick of it or find it repetitive. But then at the end of the day, is that not also motherhood? We are doing the exact same thing every single day. It's super fun. Another person, I found her on TikTok, Lauren Badenhoop. I think that's how you say her name. I found her when she was pregnant with her son Cedar, and I initially followed her because I felt like she had a very unique take on maternity fashion in a way that wasn't just actually wearing maternity clothes. And that's actually something I struggle with a lot while I'm pregnant, is like individual style and not feeling like I look like I'm just dressed in a sack all day long, or drawing a ton of attention to my body, which I think is so cute on other people, but on me it just looks like someone trying to show off their pot belly. I don't know. I initially started following her for that, and then I just really fell in love with the way that she was so happy on the internet. And I know that she went through a really rough patch with her partner at the time, but she continued to be very vulnerable through it. And that's going to be a pattern in a lot of this, is that I think that a lot of my favorite follows are people who aren't afraid to show a lot about themselves online. And I know that that can be controversial now in the way that a lot of people are seeking privacy. But I think that if you're seeking privacy, probably the internet is not the best place to do it. That's just me. I also just love how she mothers and how she dresses very creatively and how she's not afraid of personal style. And I think that that's encouraged me to be a little bit more, I say outgoing, but I'm still very conservative in the way that I dress and the way that I do my hair and my makeup. But it is, like I said, very inspiring to see someone who pretty much can pull off anything and isn't afraid to try. This one's kind of random. I have followed Arden Rose since I was a middle schooler. I used to watch her back to school videos and I was obsessed with them. I would take avid notes and try to show them to my parents later. I did not know that the economy had collapsed. My parents sheltered me from that for quite some time, but I did understand the value of money. And even though I really wanted these things, my parents were very realistic. So it was actually kind of nice to watch someone else consume in a way that wasn't like super flashy. I mean, it was literally back to school supplies. Heaven forbid people want nice stuff, but also it was just back to school supplies. Even now as an adult, I found her again on TikTok. What I love about her is she's very funny. She's very cutesy, but she also has a big brain. She posts a lot of really good and insightful book reviews that I have screenshot and purchased books from in the past, and I just really appreciate a lot of the things that she talks about and discussions that she has. I think that her personal style is also very, very cute. Okay, I don't know if I'm saying this correctly, but Taylor Giovesis, she is one of my favorite follows. I would honestly say it goes Becca and her at the top, mostly because I feel like it's really inspiring to see someone parent so much outdoors. And then also she reminds me to slow down a lot. And a lot of this is not going to be very visible when you view her content, but just in general, I see how soft they are with their kids, and I see that they co-sleep, and they just, I feel like, approach parenting in a much more gentle, soft, slow way. And I think that as someone who is a recovering fastaholic, I don't know, like I have always just had a very ramped up nervous system, and so everything's go, 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 go. And I don't want my kids to develop that. I want them to take their time. And I feel like they're really good at that with their kids. I also really love the way that they let their kids dress like kids. I think that that is something that I'm actually becoming very passionate about as someone who has kids who are getting a little bit older and are developing their own personal style. I think that they only have so many years before their personal style is heavily criticized by other people in public. And I think that they should enjoy as much of their childhood as possible, especially in the way that they express themselves. Obviously, there's times where it's like they have to dress appropriate for the weather or for wherever they're going. But I think that they still should have a lot of autonomy in that. And I think that her kids dress so childlike, and I love it. In a world of putting kids in bell bottoms and tube tops, we need more kids in character costumes, knits, crochet items, character shirts, whatever it may be. I think that it's really fun as a kid to kind of rep your favorite things, especially through your clothes. Okay, this one might be kind of controversial. I don't know why, but everyone gets wrapped up in everyone's business. I really like following Brianna LaPaglia. Brianna Chicken Fries, what everyone used to call her, I think. And I don't know why. I actually don't understand that lore. As I'm editing this, I'm kind of realizing that she's an extremely random follow to be bringing up. My point is that she adds a lot of, is it brevity? I'm too stupid for this. Brevity. Levity. We'll find out. My point is, she is fun to watch. She's a happy girl. I recognize that all of these other people are very kind of like wholesome people to follow. She's fun. I don't know, I like her. I love following her because I feel like she doesn't take life very seriously. I think we're the same age. Are we the same age? Okay, we're close. She's 26, I'm 28. Especially when you become a mom, you almost feel like you're not allowed to do certain things or behave certain ways. And one of those for me is I feel like I haven't been very expressive emotionally or like comedically. And I think it's because I feel like people expect me to be more mature because I have kids. And part of that probably is true. But then also, I think that's just me perceiving motherhood as something that's maturing. Not that she's immature, but anyways, you know what I'm saying, I hope. But she's funny. I think even for someone who's very forward facing, she still has a lot of fun. And I think that, hey, Diva, we don't have to keep saying I think. She is a really good example of not letting people get to you. I know that she received a lot of hate for a really long time, and I'm sure she talked about it. Didn't let herself get scared, if that makes, I don't know. This is probably so stupid. This is my page. Do you ever accidentally follow someone and you don't know how to unfollow them without? I do this a lot. And I think it's just me accidentally hitting the little plus sign by their name. And then honestly, sometimes I think to myself, do people do that to me on accident? Like news.com.au, I didn't follow that, but I must have hit the button on accident. But I'm also looking like for a video in which I might have accidentally bumped it. I don't know. Spring cleaning, I think, should take place in more than just your home. Clear out your photos, clear out your following list. Make sure it's people who make you feel good about yourself after you view their stuff. Or at the very least feel neutral. Like you should never feel bad about yourself after you watch someone's stuff or consume their content. I think that that's a sure sign that it's probably a jealousy follow or a hate follow, and you should not let any of that live in you for as long as you can. Who are your guys' favorite people to follow? I feel like I have more people, but I would say everyone I do follow, I do enjoy their content, but these are just my favorites. Tell me who you like following, why you like following them, how long you've followed them for, because I do feel like that's how I know it's a good one, is the longevity of the follow. You know what I mean? Anyways, I hope you guys aren't as chronically online as I am when it comes to thinking about things like this, but I think that in a day where I think most of us are online, we should be very careful with that follow button. So, bye guys.